Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how long does it take to manifest it? The Neville Goddard way. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I got an email today asking about, Tom, how long does it take to manifest it in 3D reality? I was reading comments on your channel, and one of your subscribers answered the question and said it's the wrong question, and said that it's the time it takes for it to feel natural and real. And so I wanted to, and I understand that Neville says that as well. He's pointing to the teachings of Neville Goddard. He said, but also Neville talks about 3 days. Can you unpack that a little bit more? Absolutely, guys. Let's unpack that. And let me just say that was a great answer to on the channel, that it is the wrong question. Why is it the wrong question? When you ask how long does it take, that's why it's taking long. It's your belief that it takes long that is why it's taking long, right? So let's unpack that a little bit more. So what does Neville say about this? Neville says that time is ever conditioned by your conception of yourself, right? By your concept of yourself. Right? Meaning your belief of yourself in your relationship to time and the time that you can manifest or create things. So that is a big statement by Neville there, right? Your belief that it takes time you will manifest more time. You will manifest, listen to this, guy, this is big. You will manifest it taking time, right? But Neville also says that conception is my end. And how long it takes between my desire and its conception is directly dependent on my inner conviction that it's done. It's entirely dependent on my inner conviction that it's done. He's talking about the time between the desire and the completion of the imaginal act, falling asleep and that wish fulfilled, the feeling that my wish is fulfilled and that it's done. Right? So we're really talking about somewhat two different times, right? The time between your desire and the completion of the imaginal act or its conception, and then between the conception and its manifestation in 3D reality. That blends as one, but let's talk about that a little bit more. So when Neville talks about this in terms of a story from the Bible in Jonah. And it's a fish story, if you will. And it was said by the ancients said Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. In the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. What does that represent? That represents you in maintaining your belief that your wish is fulfilled. Walking in that conviction, in that inner conviction that it is done, right? And then the Lord spoke to the sea creature and it spewed Jonah out onto dry land. When? 3 days later. So we get to the 3 here, right? Spew Jonah out into dry land. What does dry land represent? That's your objective 3D world. That's your manifestation into 3D reality, right? Jonah, you're in the belly of the fish. You're walking in the conviction that it's done. You're feeling the fullness of it, that it's complete, that it's natural, that it's real. And then you're spewed out, or your manifestation is spewed out into the 3D world. It manifests in the 3D world. That's what it's talking about onto dry land, right? So this is a great parable that represents the idea of 3 days. But Neville points out that in the Bible, 3 means fullness and completeness. Although it's 3 days in these parables, that the meaning behind the meaning is fullness or completeness. The idea that you feel the fullness of your wish fulfilled. You feel the completeness of your imaginal act. You feel that it feels natural and it feels real to you. That's what we're talking about. And so Neville also points out, if you believe that it's going to happen just with the mere passage of time, that's folly, because you've got to be in that, you've got to claim or assume that state of consciousness, that the only thing you need to do, or that's required, is to enter, claim, assume that state of consciousness, and then maintain that state, walk in that faith, and it will manifest in 3D reality. So he says this, right, that the idea that 3 means fullness and completeness. But he also points to and says that the Bible, when asked, right, he says the Bible gives us 3 days for the response, or for the duration, for the response in the 3D world, for the manifestation in the 3D world. So he does talk about days in terms of duration, and he actually gives examples of this, of some of his and others in his teachings. So here's where the Bible points to 3 days, right? Or this idea of fullness or completeness or time, right? It was said that the parents of Jesus were looking for him for 3 days, that they found him on the third day. Where was Jesus? In the temple, right? And Jesus says to his parents, why were you looking for me when you know I was going about my Father's business? What was Jesus saying there? He was in the temple. He was elevating to that higher state of consciousness. That's you. That's that Christ within you, adopting that ideal state, right? Living your wish fulfilled, maintaining that fullness and that completeness, that it's natural and real to you. So that's what he was in the temple, right? And then it said that Peter went to Jesus' tomb 3 days later, right? We know that between the crucifixion and the resurrection was 3 days. What did Jesus do? He rose. He was resurrected. As you resurrect your ideal or your wish into the 3D world, into the manifestation in the 3D world. So there again, we see 3 days. And then Jesus is questioned. And when he's questioned, he says to them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up again. Hear this, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up again. Meaning there it is again. 3 days to what? To raise the temple, to rise to that higher state of consciousness where your ideal and your wish fulfilled is. That's big today, guys. That's what we're talking about. This is what Neville's talking about, right? Yes, and so is it possible in 3 days? Absolutely. And Neville gives examples of that. And that there's sort of a dual meaning in the Bible here. It's talking about 3 meaning fullness and completeness, meaning that the state feels real and natural. But Neville also points to that duration could be 3 days if you maintain that feeling, if you feel that naturalness, if you don't fall from that state and you maintain it. So guys, that's how long it takes to manifest it the Neville Goddard way. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. Comment, guys. I love your comments. Share your stories. Help others, right, if you have some tips and advice. Visit us on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful, on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Caron. Website at tomcaron.com, besomethingwonderful.com, or write me anytime at info@besomethingwonderful.com. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, this is Tom with great love. See you soon.